have been struggling for a while to identify issues that are important to Chicago and ones that SPR could join. Housing is a particularly brutal issue for Chicago. We live very close to a house where Lorraine Hansberry grew up and led to the Supreme Court decision that ruled that no, whites could not expel blacks from the community. Today, we want to work on what is possible for the future. We've had a couple of sessions so far, one in Portland that Ron and Leslie discussed the birth of St. Edmund Episcopal Church not far from here that has been responsible for it really well. Today, we have Janice Williams with us. And she's going to discuss a new project that leads to the development of new homes that African Americans especially will be encouraged to purchase and join the community. So without further ado,
thank you, John. Thank you so much, St. Paul the Redeemer. I've been here for the 2 previous weeks too, and just worshiping with you has been a delight. So thank you for the warm faces here for this month. Thank you, Catherine, John, Sarah Reed, and the Anti-Racism Working Group. And in the spirit of a working group, I'm not doing all the work today. You're going to help, okay? All right, so I'm going to ask my Chief Administrative Officer, my daughter, to pass out your homework. It's in class and in groups of 3 or 4 or 2 or whatever you choose. If you can please grab a sheet, grab a pen. If you don't have one, you have pens. We're going to just do a little bit of work before we have a little bit of discussion. Can everybody hear me okay? If you cannot hear me, raise your hand. One sheet per group, because you all have to solve the world's problems together. Just a simple exercise, no stress. You ready? All right. There are 4 million black people newly unemployed and glad about it. Homeless. What will you do? 5 minutes. Begin. Good question. Who are you? I am not dictating that. Some folks are the mayor, whoever you are, you gotta solve this. And you have 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Try your slide. First slide. The fire slide, you got it.
But the apartment mostly has some lot of issues, and we gotta do something. It's an old building, apartment in old building, and the management seems to stick over it like 1 month before we moved in, and so that actually 6 and 5 people are living.
2 minutes.
But otherwise,
2 minutes remaining.
Old Town, you know where Walter Pitch is?
Is that where she's going to school? Yes.
So we're like 6-7 minutes walk away from
It's crazy.
It's very convenient location wise. He has to go at 6:30 a.m. for a basketball practice. Then I find it harder for me. With the snow and
How many rooms do you have?
2 bedrooms.
And other rooms?
There is
Because if Agnes goes to the prison, you can just take over. I'll just transition her over there and we're supposed to see her. Yeah. Shall we see
All right, if you haven't written down your ideas, please scribble them down quickly. We're going to be finishing up in 30 seconds. Thank you very much. Please pass your plans, your strategic plans, back to the center, to Ade. She'll be collecting them, and we're going to turn those over to Bree for future use as you all plan through this year on how you're going to solve Chicago's housing problem. Kierkegaard said, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. Also, Sankofa, the bird that's walking forward while looking back so that they understand where they're going. Let's look back to understand what happened in this very real situation. Before emancipation, there's precedent. 270 million acres of land were given away. That's 10% of this country's land mass. That was after the Indian Removal Act made way for movement toward the Western Front. That was before emancipation. Also before emancipation, there were pre-reparations. Before emancipation, there were pre-reparations where slavers could receive up to $300 per black person who would soon be off the books at emancipation. The value of my daughter would be $8,815 today. So they spent $26 million in preparation for emancipation. It went to the owners. It went to the owners of the people. And then after emancipation, there was sharecropping, which I likened to renting because it was renting, kind of. So black people were allowed to work a piece of the plantation, and out of those crops, they would pay for that land. But the Equal Justice Initiative reminds us that through sharecropping, white landowners hoarded the profits of black workers' agricultural labor, trapping them in poverty and debt for generations. Sounds like a good idea. You got 4 million people, now what are you gonna do? Let's just keep working together. But by 1930, there were 3 million black sharecroppers. So the question is, did it really work to advance black people? Do you all know any sharecroppers? You do?
No, but I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm thinking about like families who franchise a store, like they buy a franchise,
Yes.
right? Like they buy a Subway,
Yes.
and then like they run the Subway.
Yes.
I still assume Subway gets most of the money than that family would get, or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, franchising is interesting, and let's come back to it. Stick a pin in it. I know 2 women that we could call today who were sharecroppers. And they are just lovely. Duffy, I love her name, Duffy, and Sister Gladys. Just wonderful women, godly women, who were sharecroppers. What else happened? General Sherman held a listening session with 20 black ministers. Reverend Frazier was the spokesperson, and he said, the way we can best take care of ourselves is to have land and turn it and till it by our own labor. And we can soon maintain ourselves and have something to spare. We want to be placed on land until we're able to buy it and make it our own. There's precedent for it, right? 4 days later, Sherman, with Abraham Lincoln's approval, distributed 400,000 acres off the coast. This is where we get the 40 acres and a mule. The mule wasn't in the special order, but some folks did get mules. Okay. After Lincoln's murder, what happened? Andrew Jackson happened.
Did Andrew Johnson?
Forgive me, thank you. Return the land to the previous owners. So Within 6 months, 40,000 freedmen ran to the land and then were evicted from it. What else happened? Black codes, okay, this pesky emancipation thing. How are we gonna get around it? We'll make some new laws. And just so petty. Loitering, these are adults. Well, they're also children. Curfews, weapons, no proof of employment is breaking the law. What does that remind you of? What is it? We have a lot of memories from this. I was thinking Holocaust, I was thinking South Africa. You know, you must walk around with a sheet of paper, otherwise. What else happened? Convict leasing, because there's a loophole in the 13th Amendment for the C word. That's all in our airwaves today with all the elections, because crime is such a problem with all of that loitering and all this curfew breaking. So, we're gonna put all of these 4 million black people, if they're not doing working our land, we're gonna get them through these black folks back into a housed and forced labor situation, convict leasing. But today, prisoners are forced to work still. 800,000 prisoners forced to work today. And their labor on goods and services brings in $11 billion to our economy. Do you know any incarcerated workers? Anybody? Yes, I do. My cousin used to sew Levi's while he was incarcerated. And I was like, you mean you sold jeans? He said, no, I sold Levi's. Segregation, of course. This is what happened after emancipation. You may live where I say. And 100 years of Jim Crow laws enforce that. But as we learned last week from Catherine, Mayor Daley said there is no segregation in Chicago. So silly. Terrorism. Bombing homes. Whose home was bombed? Churches, businesses. Then there was lynching, dragging people face down. Anti-voting, anti-education, anti-wave, anti-race mixing for black people. Black codes, get them back in jail. Do you know anybody who has PTSD from living in the South?
Sure.
Yes, I do. My dad did.
There's also generational and historical trauma.
Generational historical trauma. And escape. Get out of here. We gotta head north. Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, get out of here. Any folks from generations who migrated? Yes. Where are y'all from?
Louisiana, Carolinas.
Yes. Georgia.
Meridian, Mississippi.
Mississippi. Alabama for us. So it's 160 years later. How are we doing? 0 to 10, how are we doing? 10 is really good. 0. Good.
5.
We had a 5. 3. I have depressed everybody sufficiently. Okay, good. So the NAACP partnered with the Brookings Institute, and last year they put out their results, which they're calling the Black Progress Index. And what I love about this study is that they didn't first identified wealth, which we all care very much about, but they started with life expectancy, which I think is just even more crucial. And they found that home ownership was like a top indicator of life expectancy and health. 160 years later, we heard about redlining. Still, because, as we know, it's always in the news, that these racialized appraisals keep our home in South Shore at probably a tenth of what it would be worth in Lincoln Park. Also, redlining is not just a moment in the 20th century. This article, Where Blacks Don't Lend, came out in 2020, showing that black folks receive 12 cents in loans for every white loan, except Chase, who gave out 7 cents for every $1. How we doing? 160 years later, how we doing? And so when we look at, well, now we are going to net worth. Black net worth. Median income net worth, $17,100 for black households, $171,000 for white households. That's about the size of a house. The wealth gap is about the size of a house. And so in Chicago, national number, Chicago number, black family ownership, home ownership, 44%, white family home ownership, 73%. In Woodlawn, black family home ownership, 24%. Renters, 76%. Sorry, that's not a black number, that's just an ownership number. Ownership in Woodlawn is 24%. Most folks living in Woodlawn are renters. That's what that says. 160 years later. So I want to go a little deeper into Woodlawn so that the working group can decide if Woodlawn is something that's interesting and somewhere you may want to target. So the facts about Woodlawn is there are 9,000 housing units. Almost 80% are renter occupied. The median income, area median income, is roughly $25,000, which is pretty much saying that most folks live at minimum wage. 36% of those residents are rent burdened, which is a technical term that means they're spending over 50% of their income on rent. So if you bring home $1,800 a month and you spend $1,000 on rent, how is my 6'3" son getting shoes again this month because his feet are already $160 years later in Woodlawn? We did a survey last summer, and we found that 78% of residents said that home ownership was very important. Remember, this is from a group of folks, most of whom are renters in Woodlawn. 34% were homeowners. 65% favored turning empty lots into deeply affordable homes. 34% said they could pay $25,000 for a home. 21% they could pay $50,000. But here's the opportunity. Where blight has been such a now blight is our friend. There are 2,000 city-owned vacant lots in Woodlawn, and there are 2,000 low-wage, rent-burdened Woodlawn families. There's also a Woodlawn ordinance which was put in place in response to the forthcoming Obama Center that promises to gentrify everyone out of their homes. There's a CL4WF, which is city lots for working families, which the city of Chicago has just put out to address this blight and turn it back into affordable homes. There's a Cook County Land Bank. And then our partner, I'm with the Block Movement. We partner with Sunshine Gospel Ministries. Sunshine has a couple lots. And so, if I haven't given it away, we think the solution, the long-term solution to so many of the ills we just addressed is homeownership. And so, I'm happy to introduce you to the Housing Equity Initiative. Sunshine Gospel Ministries is about 110 years old. We're about 5. But the Housing Equity Initiative is about a year and a half old. We started with the tax benevolence program. There were 54,000 homes on the tax sale list coming out of COVID. We went around and tried to find some of those families who were in jeopardy of losing their homes, legacy families in Woodlawn, and we started a program where we just paid off their arrears and then matched that next year. And in theory, in a year, they're whole, they're back on their feet, and they can move forward. So that's the tax benevolence program. Down payment assistance program, pretty straightforward, folks know what that is. We've done that, and we want to continue to do that. And then this community revitalization is really where I want to draw your attention. This is blight becoming our friend. And so our goal for the whole Housing Equity Initiative is equity, actual equity. Home equity, actual, like when we die, our kids have some place to start. They can sell it, they can, put their kids, you know what I mean? Equity, actual equity. Poverty reduction. If I pay my $1,000 per month, every month, by the end of the year, I have nothing. I have 12 receipts that say I'm a good girl. And wealth production, we understand. So, our strategy is redefine affordable. So, the Woodlawn Ordinance has an incredible 2 pockets of money. $120,000 for building and $60,000 for Woodlawn residents to purchase homes. So that's $180,000 already. It's a lot of money. We are working with architects and builders, etc., who know how to do affordable. Now, so affordable building is tough right now. Everybody's gonna say, oh, but the cost for inflation, we got all of that, got it. Which is why we reach out and say to partners, to would-be partners, help us seize the day. And so, John said, make sure you come with a to-do list, something that we can sink our teeth into. Here it is. We think that perhaps, if over a year or two, you all could, sell something, or sell some things, and raise maybe $25,000, that would be fabulous, like for adopt a family. But I don't like the word adopt because it kind of infantilizes. You know what I mean? Partner with the family. Maybe fully get some pre-development funding. Materials, very expensive. Maybe you want to say furniture. We'll do the beds for the mom and her 3 kids. Fixtures, not just but maybe a pretty little chandelier. You know what I mean? There are ways to participate in this work. Maybe it's closing costs. Because we're not giving houses away. The families will buy the homes. but we're just gonna redefine affordable. Maybe it's that, you see what I'm saying? So maybe it's professional service. Maybe somebody here owns a title company. Maybe you're a civic engineer. Maybe you're a loan officer. So maybe there's some services or some wisdom that you can offer to our organizations or to the families. Maybe you're an activist or lobbyist. We've identified a bunch of maybe 15 different areas of legislation that we'd like to press on for either change or resources. And maybe you know some folks, maybe you can write a letter, maybe you can connect us by email. Maybe you work at a foundation. Maybe you're an employer who can get some families above 30% AMI, maybe get them up to 50. And then we had a couple other ideas. Sunshine has a lovely poverty simulator, if the group wanted to do that together. Really lovely idea. Maybe invite us to a strategic planning group meeting. And some materials for study. This is my husband's book. He's right there. Isn't he cute? That's his book. But these are all lovely, lovely resources to help us consider the reality of housing. And this one I really love because it doesn't let us punk out with, let's build them a tent. So thank God for Andy or whoever the gentleman was that's building the orange tents. How wonderful. But he holds our feet to the fire and says poor folks deserve beauty too. And so that's it. Thank you very much. If you have any questions. Yes, sir.
Can you give us kind of a pie chart of how you are funded? Government, foundations, private,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Yes, sir. So at the moment, we are, for instance, the tax benevolence is all private because it started as leftover COVID money. And so we went back to the donors and we said, here's a new problem. It's really urgent. People are about to be kicked out.
What is totally private?
The money, the donations that we received for the tax benevolence program. Yes. Is private only. However, when you think about the Woodlawn ordinance, that's city. Also, we're going to be talking to IDA, Illinois Department of Housing Authority Association, this week. And so we're reaching into every bucket we can find money. We are reaching and asking. Yes.
What about foundations?
Foundations, we have not received any yet for this, like, please and thank you. Any connections you can make for us on our behalf, we will be so grateful. Let me go first.
Just thank you so much for this. I imagine many people have opened property tax bills lately, and I know that some neighborhoods were hit very, very hard. In South Shore, where I live, our building, their property tax is 4 times what it was last year. And so I'm wondering what's happening in Woodlawn with that, and is there something, how do we address that?
We started the tax sale benevolence program in partnership with Maria Pappas, the treasurer. And she is on Black Talk Radio once a week talking about, as a matter of fact, I just recently heard she's returning $50 million to taxpayers because of overpayments, because they didn't do their exemptions, for many reasons. And she is a willing partner. I have found her to be rational and willing. I think there are some traps that laws have her in, but to one of my points earlier, I don't think I think we need to lobby, and I think we need to push, and I don't know where the big jump is coming from, so I'm sorry I can't answer, but Woodlawn, there were about 300 some families that were in jeopardy of losing their homes. And so we were able to help a handful. Some of the families we can't find. They're hiding. They think we're coming to steal. Wait, where do you want us to sign? You know, and so it's a little trickier than we had hoped. We didn't even run out of money because we're still looking for families that we can help. So I don't have an answer, but we've got tons of numbers that we're cranking and trying to predict folks that fall behind before they get on the sale, and can we maybe reach out to them sooner in the, you know, so we're trying to think through those things. We've got some smart researchers out of Wheaton College. We're starting working with some folks out of U of C. We just want to work with all the people because all the smart people can help us help them. So, yes, sir. Sorry, John.
Yes, sir. Thank you for such a
Thank you.
and thank you for all the decisions too. Now my question is this, like what are you doing about the unemployment issue? Or do you just hope, I mean, you just believe about that by providing them housing that they will be able to be better employed?
I will say that we are not, this program does not address housing, does not address unemployment. It doesn't address employment. But it does say that you are in a better position if you own your own home and somebody is not willy-nilly raising your rent when you're already in a crisis. And you can invite whoever you want to come and stay with you to help you pay your bills and you all can pile up. And the homeless children can stay on your couch and without asking a landlord if it's okay that if they're not on the lease and can I paint my daughter's walls pink? Can I, you know? And so we are addressing poverty, not in the way of employment, but in a way that owning your own home can solve so many. I mean, even just having to move, so expensive, it's such a headache. Who wants to move? It's such a headache, but it's expensive. And then now I've got a down payment, and I've got first and last month, and I'm got, you know, I've just got thousands of dollars to just hand to somebody. And you hold on to that for a while I live here. It's just, it can get too much. John and then.
Earlier we spoke about money available.
Yes. Yes.
How does that happen? Is the money going to come to the bank, or is this money in some government property that is given to us?
So two different ways. Down payment assistance is, we accept donations for that. So that's sitting in a bank with, in Sunshine's accounts. And that is ready once we work. So the block movement works with families and we, you know, kind of coach them and make sure your credit's good and this and that, and walk with them and help them find houses in this really incredibly competitive environment. We do all of that stuff and then get them ready. And when they find a home and everything's right, then Sunshine will try to, you know, give a nice down payment to help them on that, because that down payment, you know, who's got $20,000 sitting around? Not a lot of these families. And so that's the goal of that.
Yeah, I'm the husband, so this family, but I wonder if you could talk a bit about, you know, just working poverty, you know, this is how poverty looks in a little bit. If you could talk about that, and then, you know, maybe if you could talk about you all's work to get the houses to be viable for working poor.
Okay, so working poor is rough. You know, that's the single mom, 3 kids that we really want to help. But these families are working families, but they're bringing home it's just not enough. And so one of the problems that creates is they may be accepting aid. They may have food stamps, or they may have, you know, other things. And one of the concerns is something that we need to lobby about is if they buy this asset, do they then get kicked off of all of those, you know, does food go out the, well, I still need food, and I'm just, you know, and so, second question was?
How you make the houses affordable for them?
how do you make houses affordable? So with the Woodlawn ordinance, we got 180,000 to sit there to start with. We've got CIC as a lending partner, so they're helping us with the purchases.
Or CIC.
CIC is Community Investment Corporation. Thank you for that. And we're looking for any others, but they've already partnered with us to renovate a Cook County Land Bank home that we bought. And so we are putting a whole bunch of pieces together, but we need gap funding, which is why I put that 25,000, because I feel like that might be a reasonable amount to maybe raise over a year or two. And we just kind of lasagna it. You know, we just kind of layer up. We've got government funding, we got donations, we got the families, mortgage, we got et cetera. Yes, sir.
So I think the majority of housing units in Woodlawn are in multi-family construction at this point. I'm not sure exactly how many. You talked a lot about the vacant lots. Am I correct that you're focusing mainly on single-family housing on those lots?
Single-family duplex and also mixed use. So we've applied for 19 lots. 2 of them are on 61st Street. And what we hope to do, Sunshine has a sister organization called Sunshine Enterprises, and that is entrepreneurs. So what we would love to do is make commercial stores for those startup organizations to be able to use that first level, and then condos on top. So all 3, single family, hopefully with rental, like the Cook County Land Bank home that we've already purchased has a legal garden unit, so there's rental income there. Another way we can help families dig out of poverty, and then the duplex. So we're doing all 3. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. If you are interested in partnering with the Faith in Action team on these issues, Bree is our contact person. Your email is on the website, in the bulletin. Thank you very much.
Just a quickie, I couldn't have Janice speak about this possibly. One of the big problems for poor people, if they take in jail, is that they can't go to the state. You can't prosecute somebody getting government aid. So,